But I've just come in reading an article saying now even in Himachal Pradesh, shopkeepers and vendors of food shops will have to put their names on the shop. When that was being done in Uttar Pradesh, in Yogi's Uttar Pradesh, you said this is a way to divide people. So when they do it in Uttar Pradesh, it's dividing people. What does it mean when a Congress government in Himachal also does it? The fact is, we live in a society where we demonize a community. And where does your Mohabbat ki dukaan go then in Himachal Pradesh?
If you've seen what Vikramaditya Singh said in his press statement, he said that it was a bipartisan committee. And I think there are real issues in today's India that no one political party has a solution to. And the difference between UP that it was a unilateral action, whereas in Himachal Pradesh that came through a bipartisan consensus dialogue. And I think as long as we have that debate, I think as long as we have that process of dialogue, I think that's what differentiates and that's what we need. I think today politicians don't have the answers to climate change. They don't have the answers to unemployment. They don't have the answers to how technology is disrupting the world. And what we actually need is a form of bipartisanship. We need to come together and collaborate. Otherwise, we are just getting overwhelmed with all these problems, and it becomes therefore easier for the politician to rather divert the attention of the public through forms of division. It's very easy to distract and divide, and it's harder to think creatively and address the solutions to the problems of 21st century of the world and India.
But the truth is you're coming here on this show and saying bipartisan. You'll go to parliament, you're a deputy leader. We see what happens in parliament. Politics in this country, Gaurav, has become more hyper-polarized than ever before. Y'all seem to be driven by anti-Modism, and they seem to be driven by a visceral hatred of the Gandhi-Nehru family. How does India deal with politicians who will not talk to each other anymore, but talk at each other?
I think, the people will teach us a lesson. You saw in Sri Lanka what has happened. There were two major parties. They kept cobbling with each other. And a party which barely got any votes in the last election swept to power. And the people will teach us, if the Congress and the BJP and the major political parties, if we just continue in a fight without finding solutions and without showcasing ideas that work in our respective states, then the people would just punish us and they would push for, I wouldn't say a radical idea, but an alternative idea. And it is for our own political survival that not to get bogged down in these fights and keep a pulse that today there is a young India and a younger India and an India that is in which the problem of unemployment, low skill, semi-skilled, anxiety, mental health issues, toxic masculinity, disruption by technology, all of these problems are increasing. And if politicians don't find the solutions, then traditional politics or traditional political parties will simply be overwhelmed by the anger and the fury of public opinion.
I must say, that's pretty refreshing to hear a politician talk of toxic.
I told you I'll give you news bites, Rajdeep. I think I owe it to India Today for bringing a politician on after a musician like that. So I thought, I can't come up with some stale set of talking points.
No, you see, music unites, sports unites, politics divides. That's the problem. And that's why we really, in a way, reach out to musicians, to sports persons. They unite. And I want to come to you, speaking of unity, to a lovely state of the northeast, Manipur. For 17 months, more than 240 people have been killed officially in the ethnic conflict there. We've seen today, rather quite absurdly, a false report being put out that 900 Kuki militants had crossed. Now the government has denied it. But you've got a state where you still have thousands of people living in refugee camps and two Manipurs, a Kuki Manipur and a Meitei Manipur. Do you have a solution, Gaurav, at all? Is that part of the problem, that while you're in opposition, you can criticize the government? Would you have a solution, a healing touch to Manipur, a state which also burnt when you were in power?
In recent times and over the last few days, all of us have talked about that how Prime Minister Modi has gone to New York and is trying to broker a solution between Russia and Ukraine. He's talking to the US president, he's talking, the NSA is briefing the Vladimir Putin, he's talking to the Ukrainian president. Why is the Prime Minister not putting the same effort in speaking to the Meiteis and the Kukis and telling them to come together? He's flying all across the world to broker a peace between Russia and Ukraine and still not taken a flight to Manipur and tried to broker a peace between the Kuki and the Meitei community. You know, Rajdeep, I was in a non-profit career before I joined politics, and I too, like many, had a very blinkered view of politics. But like I said, through my own eyes of spending a few years in Assam, I saw how politics smoothened the ethnic tensions, brought together diverse communities, and created peace which was fractured by incidents of violence, but long-term peace. And that's why it breaks my heart that here in Northeast, where we have lost the decades of 80s and 90s due to insurgency, here we have gone in Manipur, we've created a climate where private investment can't take place. We've created an environment that people can live side to side with each other. We've created an environment that a cookie boy can't study in a college dominated by Meiteis and vice versa. And there is visceral hate.
So,
And
so
I
what
think,
would you do? What would you do that you believe Prime Minister Modi and the BJP have not done?
well, what Prime Minister Modi is doing in Ukraine, he needs to be a hands-on Prime Minister. The problem, the issue of bringing about peace can't be outsourced to the Union Home Minister or some national security advisor or to the state leadership, which has already lost faith, as evidenced in the last Lok Sabha election. It is for the Prime Minister to play the role of a healer, bridger, statesperson, and the Prime Minister needs to come in. I think the people of Northeast would thank him. I would thank him if he brings about peace in Manipur and brokers an understanding and a path of reconciliation between the Meiteis and Kukis.
You know, this is a little contentious. We are in an audience in Mumbai. God forbid, and I hope it never happens, even if two people died in some kind of a clash in Mumbai, it would be front page splash, and all this Mumbaikar audience would be agitated. 230, 40 people have died in Manipur. Do you feel that that sense of agitation and anger is missing because it is way out in the Northeast? That the Northeast has suffered from the tyranny of distance?
That's the problem of anybody who is from Delhi. That's the problem of Tamil Nadu, Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, the Northeast, Daman and Diu. Anybody who sits far away from Delhi, our problems don't get the same attention. But what I want as somebody from the Northeast is not pity. I think what we need is leadership. We need to take leadership of our own problems. We need to solve our own problems. And we need to break the stereotypes that people sitting in Mumbai, Delhi or Goa have of the Northeast, that we are not just a region racked by conflict. We are a region that gives Mary Kom. We are a region that gives Mirabai. We are a region that is important to the security of India. Right now, what's happening in Bangladesh has an immediate impact on the Northeast. Right now, the unstable political climate of Myanmar has an impact of how drugs is entering into various states. Right now, how China is building military installations across Arunachal Pradesh has an impact on our security. So the Northeast is pivotal not only to our unity and sense of integrity, but also to our national security. And I think what I'm worried about, especially with the developments in Bangladesh, that we have seen that how rogue elements and non-state actors, which had their bases in Bangladesh in the past, created havoc, violence, and terrorized the people of Northeast. And I don't want that climate. And therefore, for us as a bordering region, as a bordering state, for how India and the government of India conducts its foreign policy is very important. The Prime Minister is welcome to go to Russia, Ukraine and the Middle East, but Indian foreign policy should also address the problems we have in our own neighborhood, whether it's Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or Maldives.